San Diego Comic-Con 2019 has brought big news for fans of the greenest girl in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thanks to a panel discussion with Avengers Endgame writers Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, as well as directors Joe and Anthony Russo, we finally have an answer to a huge question about the post-Endgame fate of Gamora, a fan-favorite member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Of course, some questions will always remain unanswered.
Why is Gamora?
According to Vanity Fair, Marcus and McFeely revealed that Zoe Saldana's alien assassin is indeed alive and well in the aftermath of Tony Stark's momentous snap at the end of Endgame, the one that completely took out Thanos' army of evildoers and creepy creatures. Some fans were concerned that they may have permanently lost Gamora to Tony's snap, considering that, thanks to some time travel antics, Avengers Endgame featured a past version of Gamora who was still working with her adoptive father, Thanos. Marvel fans don't need to be reminded of present-day Gamora's emotional death in Avengers Infinity War, where Thanos sacrificed her to snag the Soul Stone and power his Infinity Gauntlet during his quest for universal domination. Watching her lose her life in Infinity War was difficult, and thinking that past Gamora was a goner as well after the events of Endgame was even more devastating to consider. Ever since her first appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy, Saldana's Gamora has charmed audiences thanks to her intense fighting prowess, her sharp wit and intelligence, and of course, her romantic entanglement with Peter Quill.
There's another name you might know me by. Star-Lord. Who?
However, Star-Lord's fury over his fallen love is one of the factors that led to Thanos' snapping at the close of Infinity War in the first place. When Quill emotionally attacked Thanos after learning the news of Gamora's death, it gave the supervillain the opportunity to overpower the Avengers and ultimately snap away half of all life across the entire universe. 5 years after Thanos' fateful decimation, the Avengers reunited in Endgame to attempt a time heist in hopes of saving all of their vanquished friends and loved ones. Despite several mishaps, it ended up working out. But one surprise guest returned along with everyone else who was originally dusted. When Thanos shot his army from 2014 into the MCU's present, Gamora was suddenly back in play, with a big catch. This wasn't the version of Gamora that died in Infinity War. Rather, it was the 2014 Gamora who was still firmly on her dad's side. For this reason, fans debated whether or not Gamora was spared during Tony Stark's sacrificial snap during Endgame's big battle scene. Even though it was possible that Tony's snap didn't dust her and that she was still around somewhere, Gamora didn't show up on Star-Lord's radar when he went searching for her in the final moments of Endgame. The argument was still raging in May of 2019 when the creative team behind Avengers Endgame simply stoked the flames by saying that Gamora's fate could go either way. During a chat with Business Insider, the Russos said that Gamora may have been dusted, but it was also possible that she survived the snap. They then stated that fans would just have to wait until Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 arrives in theaters to see for themselves. To make matters more stressful, the Russos also said that Quill, who was looking for Gamora at the end of Endgame, didn't know what had happened to her either. At that time, the Russo brothers seemed happy to put the burden of this particular reveal on James Gunn, who was returning as the writer and director of the third Guardians movie. But thankfully, they've changed their tune and revealed the truth ahead of schedule. However, now that we know for sure that Gamora is alive, there are still some obvious complications. Since she's the 2014 Gamora, she doesn't know anything about the Avengers and doesn't really know who Peter Quill even is, which could present some pretty awkward problems. She and her sister Nebula could also still potentially be at odds despite the friendship they forged throughout their previous adventures together. Saldana hasn't officially confirmed her return in Guardians 3, but she did recently say that she would love to play a more villainous version of her signature Marvel character in the upcoming sequel, so it stands to reason that Gamora would be included in the final film of this whimsical, irreverent film trilogy. And since she was also one of the stars who petitioned to reinstate Gunn after old tweets initially got him fired from the third Guardians film, the idea of Gunn not being behind the camera is no longer standing in the way of her returning. For now, it remains to be seen just what type of role Gamora will play in the upcoming Marvel films, but at the very least, it's comforting to know that the MCU's favorite verdant warrior is still out there somewhere, planning her next move. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about the MCU are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.